The defense has its best day in fall camp, and Ole Miss welcomes back a key player. We're reacting to practice right here on the Locked On Ole Miss podcast.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. I am your host, Steven Willis, and we'll bring in Dalen Flowers from the Rebel Walk to recap what he saw at practice last night. It's a little late, I know, but it will be worth it. Thanks for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen every day, and please give us a like, subscribe, and comment on your way out. So, Dalen, it is really interesting throughout practice. The first thing that was sent to me on all of this, like, this was the defense's best day. The defense finally looked like a team that we were hoping they would look like, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 1,000%. I think there were a lot of eye-opening moments for the defense today. Yesterday evening, I think the opportunity to be in full go, get that adrenaline running, get that energy was really huge for them. There are pieces to this defense that, I think aren't household names currently, and that's just because they're new guys that haven't either, played a lot or transfer guys that are, trying to make their names within the Ole Miss fan base. But there were a lot of show-outs, and on one quick, huge shout-out is Nicole. I thought he played outstanding yesterday, and they have him in a lot of different positions. Sometimes he's that free safety, that strong safety. He was playing well in the zone coverage. He was coming up and putting some pressure on the run game a little bit as well, really strongly. I think Nicole, whether he's a starter or not for the Ole Miss defense in 2025, is still going to play a really, really pivotal role for this defense. I think he brings a lot of versatility to Pete Golden's system that is going to be really capable for him to play a lot of different things, which is going to be huge. I thought the secondary did well. Jaylon Braxton finally got the chance to do a little bit more, and it was out that black kind of injury jersey is what it's called. And he's not necessarily, an injury, but just kind of less contact. He was dealing with some things, and he seems to now be in the regular jersey and was in full contact and full go yesterday, which is huge. That's a guy that, Pete Golden was very high on and recruited strongly out of the portal coming out of Arkansas and has a really good background in history. So that was absolutely huge to see him be in full motion once again and being within the Rapids to go full again. I think the defensive line showed out as well. Two guys that I want to give you a quick shout out to and people to watch for is Andrew Maddox and Cam Franklin. I think they're going to be really, really key guys for the Ole Miss defense this year, especially in those pass situations when the team is facing, those 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, even 3rd and long. Sometimes they're going to be huge in getting to the quarterback. They showcase some great abilities within their hands to put some pressure on Austin Simmons. Kind of gave me a little bit of questions about the offensive line, but they really, really got their momentum going yesterday, and I think they're going to be huge on those pass situations for the defense on 3rd down and this year. And once again, TJ Daugherty and Todd Chambers and Tyler Banks, those linebackers look outstanding, man. They look like game changers. They're communicating really well. They're playing zone coverage well. They're getting downhill to get to the quarterback and stop the run game really well. I'm very proud of the way this linebacker room is looking, along with of course, the preseason All-American Suntarian Perkins. I'm really proud of how they look. They have really put in some work this offseason to put some weight on, to understand their game and their bodies better. And I think those linebackers are really going to surprise some people in terms of their entire ability to make this defense a little bit more intense than what we may have seen in the past couple years.
And I think everybody thought the defense was going to be all right because everybody respects Pete Golding and what he can do. I think that it just kind of surprised people that, hey, the first time they go full pads, the defense is what stands out. Everybody was expecting the offense to be the belle of the ball at the beginning of camp, but it was the defense that kind of showed out. And the question I have is, now that contact is allowed, they're in full pads and everything's going on, did you see the offensive line struggling with the defensive line? Which was happening in that battle? Because whenever something good happens in a practice, there's always something bad happening as well. You've got the both of them. Did the offensive line or the defensive line win today?
I thought the defensive line won. I think the offensive line is still a work in progress. I think there are solidified points in terms of, Brycen Sanders and Diego Pounds, but I think every other position on that line right now for John Garrison and his group is honestly still up in the air. I think they've tried out a few different guys, whether that be obviously Jaden Williams at right tackle. They've had Delano Townsend come out there and play really good. PJ Wilkins has done a great job. Devin Harper looks really, really good. A young guy that, may not be a starter this year, but may have the opportunity to, really do some damage if he sticks around at Ole Miss. He looks really good to be a young guy. His feet work and his mechanics look really good. I'm really high on what I've seen Devin Harper do. But I just think there are a lot of just kind of question marks right now for the offensive line. I don't. There's still moving pieces. I saw a different, starting line last week, and I say that because there was no starting line. It's just some of the guys that I saw working within the Brycen and Diego with Austin Simmons. Those were the guys that were working with them. So I'm seeing a lot of moving pieces there. So I don't know if there's necessarily a set offensive line yet. But I think within that, there's no concern, but I think that they're still figuring those things out, which is okay. I think one thing that we chatted about a few weeks ago is one thing that I'm seeing differently compared to maybe last year and even past Ole Miss offensive lines under Lane Kiffin is there's not too many huge guys. They kind of have dimmed the size down a little bit just to work on those foot mechanics a little bit better, to be a little bit more faster, to kind of realize what that up-tempo offense really can be and how great it can be under Austin Simmons. So that's something that I think is differently about this offensive line this year, that right now is still a work in progress, but that's what this fall camp is about, kind of gelling a little bit better and getting some real-time game reps against a defensive line that may be a little unfamiliar to fans, but really has the potential to be really, really good. And I don't think, some people kind of say this Ole Miss defense is underrated, and I don't really think they're underrated. I just think, you're obviously not going to be what last year was, but this defense still has so many opportunities to be really, really good and put on some standouts for this team this year.
All right, so we'll talk with Dalen Flowers a little bit more, get into the wide receiver position whenever we come back next. But first, ever wish managing your money could feel a little easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings, planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It is like having your own personal CFO that gives you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. When I first started using Monarch Money, the first thing I noticed was how much I was ordering out, how much money I was wasting due to laziness. Monarch helped me clean all of that up, and now I am thriving. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That is monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. And it's time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with your friends, this one's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Let's be honest. Some days on the course or even off of it, to be honest, you just don't feel right. You need that extra boost to stay sharp and energized. I have played all over Middle Tennessee in golf and saw some weird courses, whether it was an island green or playing golf badly in a neighborhood. It was always a good time. And that's what it's all about, right? Golf is about good time with good people and good flavors, of course. The grape, ginger, lime flavor gives you the best parts of your clubhouse without the chasing down of the bev cart. So if you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that's the number 5, energy.com, you can use my promo code LOCKEDONGolf to receive 20% off your order. The offer is valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders either. So whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion flavor 5-Hour Energy shots today. All right, let's go back to Dalen Flowers real quick. And it's a day late. Practice was last night. Obviously, I'm about 24 hours behind the times on this one. But let's turn our attention to the wide receivers, because that is kind of interesting. Izaiah Hartrup, number 14, is showing out seemingly every practice. Traylon Ray are starting to come back and get back to what he was at West Virginia. And Deuce Alexander is kind of the leader in the clubhouse of those three players that are trying to find playing time going into the first game.
Yeah, those are three guys that have definitely put I think everyone on notice throughout the first couple of weeks of fall camp so far. I was really high on Deuce Alexander in the spring. He looked really, really good. Made some outstanding red zone catches. His route running looked really good. And that's a guy that Big Ten experience, has been through the ranks. He had that ability to do big things, and you're grateful that he's on your team if you're an Ole Miss fan. I think this wide receiver room is really loaded. I think they have the opportunity to be great in a lot of different areas. And I think there are guys like Traylon Ray, Izaiah Hartrup, Caleb Cunningham that can do things that, maybe they're good on getting outside the outside of the field and making some things happen close to the out of bounds line. And, whether you're putting Caleb Odom or Daquan Wright or, De'Zhaun Stribling, they can get in the middle field or go a little bit deep and make some things happen deep. I think this wide receiver room is really coming together. And I think those opportunities, again, are going to make this offense so versatile. But how do you play to all of those strengths? That you kind of had that same feeling going into last year. There was Daquan Wright and Caden Prescorn and Tre Harris and Caden Lee and Jordan Watkins, but then it felt at some points it was kind of one-dimensional. And how do you kind of get out of that and be more adaptable? I think this Ole Miss team this year understood what happened last year, and I think they worked strongly throughout the offseason and throughout this fall camp to do things a little differently to set them up strongly when they're in those positions where they need a quick field goal before halftime, where they need to put some points up with 20 seconds left on the game. And I think those mechanics are now going to allow this team to be a little bit better in moments where you just need a quick point to go into the half or to end the game, to win the game, that we weren't able to see last year. I'm really high on Izaiah Hartrup as well. He's looked outstanding throughout fall camp, a guy that has easily caught my eye that I really wasn't expecting to do or really be given the opportunities he's been given, but he's absolutely been taking them and he's absolutely ran with them. I think he's a guy that has the opportunity to put up some big numbers, be a big playmaker for this Ole Miss offense. So Izaiah Hartrup is definitely a guy that Ole Miss fans need to be marking on their roster when the season comes, just to see what he's able to do, his route running abilities, how great his hands are in the deep field. He's going to be a guy to look out for. But it's something that I think that Lane Kiffin talked about in the first presser. If this wide receiver room, when they're healthy and when they're going, could be, the kind of leading position room within the team. They could be real leaders and kind of just put everyone together when things get rough. And I believe it wholeheartedly. They have not disappointed so far. And I think Austin Simmons, he worked throughout the offseason with a lot of these guys and brought some of them to Florida with them. They have a great connection, and I think that's going to bind really well for Ole Miss this year.
Okay, let's get some quick hitters on the other wide receiver, because we talked about those three, but the first three it's important to talk about as well, and the freshmen that are available as well. You talked about Caleb Cunningham a little bit earlier, but De'Zhaun Stribling, how is he looking in fall camp?
Fantastic, man. Definitely is looking like the guy. I just compared him with Tre Harris last year. Very same kind of size, stature. Looks really built. His route running is incredible. I really will predict him to go up one-on-one against any corner in the country and come down with the touchdown pass if that ball was thrown to him. I think he has a great mind on him as well. I was able to talk to him after the first day of fall camp, and he just seems really locked in. He seems comfortable in Oxford. He seems happy to be here, and it seems like this has become a quick home foundation for him in Oxford. And I think he really just seems comfortable in Oxford. He seems comfortable within the offense, and they're giving him the opportunities to be the main guy. I think there's a competition within the wide receiver room to kind of see who's going to be within those ranks with Caden Lee. But De'Zhaun Stribling has the tangibles to do so. If you go back, I see my guy TJ has been out there posting some clips of him at Oklahoma State last year. He has superstar abilities. He has superstar potential. He put up incredible numbers at Oklahoma State last year and has the potential to do the same thing here. I think he may be a guy that is not talked about a lot right now, but can be the guy for this Ole Miss wide receiver room in 2025.
All right, Harrison Wallace III.
Like him a lot. I think he's going to be very pivotal in the red zone game. I think it's a guy that you can kind of put in the slot position and can be a really good slant runner. I've seen them put him in some pre-snap motions behind the line of scrimmage a little bit and kind of drag some plays out or kind of be a little D-sky sometimes. I think he's going to be a real special kind of undercover guy for this Ole Miss offense this year. I think there are going to be plays where you're going to be like, wow, how did he get there? Or, wow, how did he catch that? Or wow, how was he able to set this up for his other wide receiver teammate? He's a guy that may not put up crazy numbers, but is going to open this offense to be something dynamic that maybe other players aren't able to do. I think he has the ability to be a guy that kind of slows under the ranks, but when he has that opportunity to move forward and make some big plays happen, he definitely can. But watch out for him in the red zone this year. I think this is a guy that it kind of squeaks under between the cracks of defenses a little bit, not the biggest guy ever, but really makes those plays happen within the red zone and really showed out yesterday during out their red zone drills as well.
All right, so let's move to the freshman class real quick before we get out of here. Caleb Cunningham, how's he looking in the first little bit of fall camp?
Another guy that was last week had a black jersey on and was finally, I saw him in red free yesterday evening, and playing in a normal jersey. He looks good. They tried him out on some kickoff plays and some punt return plays. I don't really know where he's going to fit in right now. I think there's a moment where he's still, seems to be learning the playbook a little bit, but I think in open field play, he's looked really good. He's looked really sharp and crisp and has the intangibles to be a superstar one day. I think they're still figuring out just kind of exactly how he's going to confine into this offense, but don't be surprised if you see him on special teams this year for Ole Miss. And I think if given the opportunity, can do some really good things. I think he may be the most underrated route runner on the team. I think he has the ability to get outside and get upfield really quickly. But I think he's kind of been a little bit, protected so far. I say that because the black jersey last week kind of means just less contact and not going full speed. And now he got that full speed going yesterday evening. So I would be able to give you a better answer on that in a few weeks or couple more practices. But I think Caleb Cunningham right now is still getting his feet wet within this offense, but has that potential to do some really good things.
All right, and finally, Winston Watkins. We'll talk about Dylan Alfred and Samari Reed and those guys a little bit later, but let's talk about Winston Watkins, close out the podcast on it.
A guy that has been given opportunities to be really good, and I think he's going to be fantastic in those play action passes for Ole Miss this year. I think his ability to get in the middle of the field is a really good route runner in the middle of the field as well is going to be key. They've also tried him out sometimes throughout the special teams play. I think Winston has kind of fallen underneath some guys. And when I say that, not in terms of just what I've seen from practice, but I think in terms of the fan and the media kind of remembering who Winston Watkins is and what he can bring to this team is really important. I think he has some Dayton Wade in him, some big play potentials, some slot receiver action, can be really quick in the open field. And I think it's a guy that when you need something to happen really quickly can be that guy. And so if you see that ball thrown to Winston Watkins this year, expect some highlight moments to happen. Expect some elusiveness, some juke plays to happen. His ability to get upfield really quickly is really strong. And I think it's going to be, a big play moment guy for Ole Miss and Austin Simmons in 2025.
All right. Tell everybody what you have going on over at the Rebel Walk, Daylon.
Just continue going to these practices, man. It feels so good outside right now. That summer heat is dying a little bit down in Oxford, and so it was so nice to be outside last night and watch the team. So just being around the guys and getting to understand what they're kind of working towards for this year, and just doing some interviews with them and continue to write has been fantastic. This is the best time of the year for me. And those preseason AP polls came out, and it just kind of feels like it's more and more real every single day. And so for me, I'm just taking every day on the grain. It's so blessed to be able to do this, and I'm grateful that my girl Evie has given me the opportunity to work with the Rebel Walk, and it's been so fun so far. And my guy Zach Mareth will be back soon from his internship, so we'll be putting out some content surrounding the team this year as well. So super fun time right now for me, man.
Yeah, it's awesome. Congratulations for everything that you've had going on, and of course, we love having you here, man.
I appreciate it, man. I love being here with you guys. You guys have been really important for me and really have set a good foundation for me. So I appreciate your support, you guys. It means the world to me, and it means the world to be able to cover Ole Miss football for you guys.
All right, Daylon Flowers from the Rebel Walk. Thank you so much for coming on, and we'll talk to you Friday, bud.
Yes, sir. Hotty toddy, y'all.
Hotty toddy. All right, so Thank you for making Locked On Ole Miss your go-to source for Ole Miss sports. We pride ourselves on being the most comprehensive in perspectives, which is why we're the front door of Ole Miss. If you don't believe me, check out and search Ole Miss Podcast and see how much the Locked On Ole Miss Podcast pops up on Google. It is the front door of Ole Miss. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment on the video. It helps the show and costs you absolutely nothing. Your support means the world to us. For your second listen, check out the Portal Show. Brian Smith has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to college football's landscape. Find the Portal Podcast on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Hotty toddy, everybody. And remember, analytics is just the old English word that means bad football. We'll see you tomorrow.